Hello and welcome to Threefold Herbal Healing. I'm Herbalist Leo Sade. I help people who struggle with chronic conditions grow their health from the roots up. Today I'm speaking about Astragalus, an ancient remedy used for centuries in TCM, traditional Chinese medicine. This herb teaches us Westerners a lesson in patience. If you plant Astragalus in your garden today, the roots will be ready to harvest in about 4 years. Astragalus is a fascinating herb that builds vitality and stamina for people who are depleted due to illness or stress. It is an ancient plant for a modern condition, for people who are run down because they seem unable to stop running. Astragalus is a good example of how polysaccharides build resiliency in the body. Even though those polysaccharides are not absorbed into the bloodstream because their molecules are very large, they affect the immune system by interacting with the immune cells in the small intestines and by feeding gut bacteria in the colon. Interesting. So the common name is Astragalus. The botanical name is Astragalus membranceus. Long name. Some people call it milk veg. In China, it's called Hang Qi or something along the way. Probably my accent is off. It is part of the Fabaceae family or a legume, so like beans and peas. And the part that we use are the roots. It is a second-degree medicine. What does it mean? First-degree medicines are herbs that you can use as food. A good example is dandelion leaf that you can eat a plate full of dandelion leaves as a salad, first-degree medicine. Fourth-degree medicine are toxic herbs. Those are herbs that you will use in really tiny dosages, small dose botanicals. That's how we call them, because overdose can lead to fatal results. Astragalus is somewhere in between, closer to the safe side, closer to food. It's not food. You wouldn't eat roasted roots for lunch, but it is a quite safe remedy. We will talk about safety issues along the way. Growing your own astragalus. I'm a big advocate of grow your own herbs. So the seeds, like many other legume seeds, are small and have like a kidney shape, and they have a relatively hard outer casing, which means that they really will benefit from rubbing them between two sandpapers before seeding them or soaking them overnight in water and then seeding them in trays. And then once the last spring frost passed, you can transplant them in your garden in a sandy, well-drained soil in a bright, sunny place. Astragalus doesn't like to be disturbed. So once you plant it in the garden, it needs to stay in the same space for the entire 4 years. After 4 years, you can harvest the 4-year roots, slice them, and you will see that inside they are yellow, and use them. And we will talk about use because it's a little bit tricky with astragalus. Not complicated, but it's different than some other herb because the polysaccharide, I will give you just a hint, are not extracted in alcohol, mostly in water. So we'll talk about that. But let's dive into history because astragalus have a long, long history of use in China. So in China is known as Hangqi, meaning the yellow leader. And that's refer both to the color of the interior of the root and the plant's position as very prestigious, very respected, one of the major remedies in Chinese medicine. Astragalus is thought to have been used medicinally in China for at least 2,000 years. I read in some places that it goes back even 5,000 years. It first appears in the Shen Nong Ben Chao Jing, the foundational text of TCM. So one of the first book, or the first book that was written with all the herbs of TCM. And even there, it is in the class of the most prestige remedies. A paper reported that Genghis Khan gave his soldier tea made of astragalus to help promote bravery and stamina in battle. So all this Asia part, using astragalus for a long time. To this day, astragalus remain one of the 50 fundamental herbs used in TCM and is listed as an official drug in the modern pharmacopoeia of the People's Republic of China, which basically mean that astragalus is used as remedy in conventional hospital remedy settings. So it is used by conventional doctors in China. I can't wait for that to happen here too. Let's talk energetic architecture. So the taste. Astragalus is sweet and moistening. That's because of the polysaccharide compounds that are found in the roots. Now, David Frowley discussed how the sweet taste can indicate nutritive, rejuvenating, and tonic property. When we are talking about tonics, we are talking about herbs that promote processes in the body, but only after they are used consistently over a stretch of time. So that's one important thing to know about astragalus. It's really need patient use over time consistently. The temperature is slightly warming, the fluidity is moistening, and the tone is neutral. So it's not a herb that constricts tissue, it's not a herb that relaxes tissue, it's a neutral herb. What tissue state work with astragalus? So astragalus is beneficial for cold, depressed tissue state. This is a tissue state where the metabolic processes are underactive. So what you will see is maybe brain fog, sluggishness in thinking. You will see fatigue, and you might see that the digestive fire is very sluggish. There is problem breaking down food and absorbing nutrient. You might see undigested food in the stool. And also the immune system is not responding well. So what might happen is those people that every winter are sick, like they can't have a winter without having a cold or flu. But also once they get sick, they have a hard time shaking that sickness. So they either not fully recover or they recover and a week later they are in bed again. So they can't fully resolve the simple cold or flu. Their immune system is not very effective. The other tissue state that work for astragalus, can benefit from astragalus, is the damp stagnation. Those are conditions where the lymphatic system is stagnant. It's not moving. So you have excessive phlegm, edema, pale skin, and again, the immune system is not working well because large numbers of immune cells are found in the lymphatic system. So generally, astragalus is indicated for people that have frequent infections, frequent colds, frequent flus, prolapsing organ, night sweats, poor digestion, and poor nutritional status. So total depletion of the system. Actions. We are talking about three types of action. The fundamental actions are associated with the energetics, so with the moistening, nourishing, building of astragalus. And in astragalus, those are demulcent. Demulcent are moistening. But in astragalus, it's not the slimy demulcent as in marshmallow, for example, that I talked about last week. It's more something that support the fluid metabolism. So it's mainly support lymphatic system and blood circulation in the body and nourish the body and help remove waste products without drying. The other actions are primary actions, and those relate to specific organs or systems. So we are talking about slow-acting immune stimulant because astragalus takes some time before it starts to act. So you start taking it and don't expect like, I'm taking it this morning and it's going to work. No, it takes a couple of even weeks before you can start see the effects. So again, we are going back to this need to be patient with astragalus. It's a long-term use that bring this effect. It's cardiotonic because, again, it works with the circulatory system, with the fluid. It improves heart function and circulation and help the body recover from cardiovascular events. It also has a tropho-restorative effect on the kidneys. It improves kidney filtration capacity, so better function of the kidney. The secondary action are implying some end result, but basically they don't tell us how we get there. So it's unclear but we do see evidence that astragalus actually is doing what we are saying it is doing. So it's antioxidant, antiviral, and anti-inflammatory. Organ affinity is the immune system, spleen, blood, endocrine system, cardiovascular system, and urinary tract. I see an affinity to fluid everywhere in the body. Okay, now let's talk specifically about what astragalus is good for. Before we talk about really specifically on how to use astragalus and in what condition and all the itty bitty thing, let me remind you that this video is for educational purposes. I don't suggest that you use astragalus if you have conditions that I mentioned. What I do suggest is that you struggle with any medical condition, you reach out to clinical herbalists that can tell you if the herbs are appropriate to you, because herbs are not like, you can't just decide to take something. They have safety issue. They can contradict in certain conditions, but not others. And they can be contradicted with certain medication or with certain herbs or with certain supplements. So if you need herbal support, I invite you to contact me. You can find my information in www Threefold Herbal Healing. On the consult page, there is a place to reach my calendar, and you can book yourself the 15 minutes free consultation. So I offer a free meeting where we talk about your specific condition. So let's talk about astragalus clinical patterns. Astragalus is basically an anabolic herb. Anabolic meaning building, it builds tissue. In TCM, astragalus is known to build the chi, or what we in the West call the vitality. By building vitality, astragalus affect most, if not all, of the body's system and their connections. Polysaccharides from astragalus are not absorbed in the small intestines. They, however, come into direct contact with the lymphatic system, which contain many immune cells in the small intestines. After interacting with the immune cells in the small intestines, astragalus polysaccharides are shuffled into the colon, where they are fermented by gut bacteria. Those two processes lead to a really profound immune result. But astragalus is not only for the immune system. So let's start with the HPA axis. The HPA axis is an hormonal cascade that initiated by stress, external stress like work problem, relationship problem, money issues, politics, stress. Also internal stress, inflammation, insomnia, diet low in nutrient, high in junk food, all kinds of stuff that can cause stress that come from the body. Chronic activation of the HPA response lead to a whole body imbalance that compromise the quality and expectancy of life. When the body is in chronic stress, it's upregulate an enzyme that is called tyrosine hydroclases, and it increases the production of dopamine, epinephrine, and norepinephrine. Just to put it out there, epinephrine and norepinephrine are adrenaline and noradrenaline. So you're living with this vibe. What it does, it causes you to be hypervigilant. And that increase the rate of your blood pressure, your blood rate, and increase blood glucose, which can lead to insulin resistance. Adaptogens are herbs that help normalize the body's stress response. An animal study found that astragalus was effective in suppressing the tyrosine hydroclase enzyme, thereby reducing the release of all those stress hormones. So it prevents the increase in blood pressure and in blood glucose. At the same time, astragalus promoted acetylcholine secretion, and that's moved the autonomic nervous system from fight and flight response to rest, digest, relax response. So astragalus has the ability to really shift your body from stress to relax. Studies suggest that astragalus anti-inflammatory effect help protect the brain from stress-induced inflammation. So stress doesn't affect just the cardiovascular system, the metabolic rate, all of that. It also affects your neurons. And astragalus can prevent neurodegenerative diseases such as Alzheimer when they happen due to stress. Okay, let's drop into the immune system. Astragalus is an immune modulating effect on the immune system. That doesn't mean, as some people believe, that astragalus will upgrade immune system that for a person that is deficient and will downgrade the immune system of the person with an overactive immune system. Some people believe that plants are very wise and they go into your body and they know if your immune system is overactive or underactive. Sorry to disappoint. Plants don't do that. What astragalus do is it has a complex effect on the immune system. It boosts some branches of the immune system while suppressing others. So what does it boost? It stimulates adaptive immunity, specifically T cell population, especially monocyte, neutrophil, and lymphocytes. So lymphocytes are T cell, but also monocyte and neutrophil. And kind of increase your immune system capacity because all of them are upgraded. But it will reduce level of pro-inflammatory cytokines. So it increase your ability to fight infection, but at the same time, reduce inflammation. Studies suggest that astragalus has an antiviral effect. One study found astragalus beneficial for disrupting the Epstein-Barr virus life cycle. An in vitro study showed that an extract of astragalus had potent anti-hepatitis B activity. So you want to think about astragalus specifically when you have a viral infection, and especially if it's a chronic viral infection or your immune system is depleted and unable to shake off that viral infection. So Epstein-Barr, I saw a couple of clients that had chronic fatigue syndrome after Epstein-Barr virus, for example. Long COVID is another example for where astragalus could be really helpful. The blood. So we have two organs of the body that directly affect blood cell production, blood cell storage, and metabolism. We are talking about the bone marrow and the spleen. Red blood cells, white blood cell, and platelets are produced in the bone marrow. The study found that there is a condition that is now known as aplastic anemia, in which the bone marrow doesn't produce enough blood cells. So you have a deficiency in red blood cells, in white blood cell, and in platelet. When people with this condition were treated with astragalus, they showed significant improvement in hemoglobin, so red blood cells, white blood cells, reticular cells, and platelet, compared with a controlled group. The spleen maintains the vitality of the blood. So what it does is it filters the blood, and then it catches old malfunctioning red blood cells and break them down, recycle the iron, and store white blood cells, so B cells and T cells, and red blood cells and iron. In TCM, the spleen is responsible for transforming food and drink into chi, into energy, and blood. If somebody is lacking chi or energy, we'll look for spleen dysfunction. If a person isn't absorbing nutrient from the food, they would experience fatigue and sluggishness. Loose stool, diarrhea, poor appetite, weakness, and dryness. Simply all the conditions that astragalus is called for. So really affinity to this spleen. Cardiovascular system. Astragalus affect the cardiovascular system through multiple pathways. Through its flavonoids, it protects the heart mitochondria from oxidative stress. It acts as a vasodilator, reducing blood pressure, as an antioxidant, maintaining the integrity of the arteries. A 2011 study showed astragalus improve contactability in patients with heart failure. So when the heart fail to contract and release, and because of that, people feel extremely tired. The circulation is totally stagnant. The heart is filled with blood that it can't really push out. That's heart failure. Astragalus can help the heart push out the blood. Oral use of astragalus resulted in reduced LDL and total cholesterol. Kidney health. Astragalus benefit the chronic kidney condition can be attributed to the polysaccharide immune modulating effect, as well as to the flavonoid found in the root that reduce oxidative stress associated with inflammation. In 2014 review of 22 studies involving more than 1,300 participants, 241 of which were on dialysis, astragalus helped decrease serum creatinine level, reduce the amount of protein lost in urine, and diminish the effects of some complications such as anemia and malnutrition. So overall, we see an improvement in kidney function. One of the common conditions associated with diabetes is kidney damage through the formation of AGEs, sugar sticking to protein in the blood to blood cell, and that's increase oxidative stress and inflammation. In 2011, a meta-analysis found that astragalus have protective effect on the kidney as measured by blood urea nitrogen and serum creatinine and total albumin. So overall, what they saw is that people with diabetes showed improve in overall kidney function when they use astragalus. Some literature suggests using astragalus for neuropathy and autoimmune condition that affect the kidney. However, I would be very cautious about using astragalus for an autoimmune condition, as its immune stimulant effect might induce a flare. So remember what I said about safety? We will talk about that in a moment. Let's talk about astragalus with metabolic condition. A 2024 review of 20 studies involving 953 adults with type 2 diabetes found that taking astragalus alongside metformin, so that's a pharmaceutical for diabetes, was more effective than taking metformin by itself for reducing fasting blood glucose and hemoglobin A1C. In an animal study, astragalus was found to protect the mitochondria membrane from lipid oxidation. So it has an overall protective effect on the blood in diabetes. It was even found to helpful in cancer. Cancer-related fatigue is multifactorial. It is not just being tired, rather it's complex syndrome involving inflammation, inflammatory dysregulation, immune system disruption, anemia in some cases, treatment side effects, psychological factors, and metabolic changes. So when people are in chemotherapy for cancer, they have a whole bunch of side effects happening. And astragalus can address several of those underlying mechanisms through modulating the immune system, reducing inflammation, and increasing vitality. So astragalus can be used alongside chemotherapy to help increase vitality and stamina in people that are in chemo. And anti-aging. Telomeres are protective caps on the end of chromosomes, like the plastic tips on your shoelaces, if you still have shoelaces. They get shorter each time a cell divides. So as we get older, they are shorter and shorter and shorter. When telomeres get critically short, the cells stop dividing or it dies, which is basically aging. Telomere shortening is associated with aging and age-related disease. Chronic stress and inflammation and oxidative stress accelerate telomere shortening. So when you have a lot of stress and inflammation and oxidative stress, you're aging faster. That's what it's saying. Isomers from astragalus, so compound in astragalus, have been shown to shorten the rate of telomere shortening, increase telomeres activity, and telomere length after people use it, which is awesome because it means that it can slow down aging in people. Astragalus main compounds that are used are the polysaccharide, big molecules that are not extracted in alcohol. So in order to use astragalus, you basically, you can take even the fresh root or the dry root, chop it really fine so you expose cells, and then cook it slowly for 12 hours or longer. Let it simmer. Slow cooker is great. And then you can preserve it after you cook it and strain it. You can preserve it with 25% alcohol if you want to keep it. One way to use it that I love to do is when I make bone broth to take a handful of chopped down astragalus root, even dry, and add it to the bone broth. And I let the bone broth stand for 2-3 days. So it's really decoct the polysaccharide, the hell out of the root. Safety. So astragalus is a long-acting immune stimulant, but it still is an immune stimulant. And that means that it shouldn't be used with autoimmune disease because in autoimmune disease, you already have an immune system that is overactive. So you don't want to use astragalus in an autoimmune disease. But other than that, I think it's pretty much a safe plant to use. Again, I wouldn't use it, or I wouldn't go and I really encourage people to play with herb. I really want people to have all this information and try it at home. At the same time, I also want people to be very responsible and know what they are doing. So, yeah, if you have any questions, leave them in the comment. I will be very happy to answer them. Um, Thank you for listening. That was awesome and long. I know it's long, but there is so much information, and I really wanted to share it with you. So thank you for listening, and let me know what you thought about it. See you next week. Bye.